The purpose of this video is to teach you the basics of using enumerations, also known as enums. I created a new console application in the Visual Studio IDE, and I want to create a new enum to hold temperatures. So I'm going to create a new private enum, and I'm going to call it temperature. Alright, my temperature is going to contain things like hot, medium, cold, freezing. So I'm going to put hot, medium, cold, and freezing. Now by default, my first element here is actually going to be a value of 0. This will be 1, 2, 3. If I want, I can control the starting point for my first element by simply putting hot equals 1. Now what it's actually going to do is it's going to store these as a number. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. But I'm going to reference these by their name, not by the number. So what I'm going to do is I want to write out on the screen some information. So I'm going to do a console.writeLine. And my console.writeLine is simply going to be temperature. And if you notice, IntelliSense now recognizes temperature as a data type. Dot. And then now what we have are the levels that are available to us. Alright, so I have cold, freezing, hot, medium. We're going to make it cold for right now. Now, when I try to run this, it will actually pop up on the screen and it disappears. So what we're used to seeing. So what I'm going to do is my console.read. Do read line. And then start it so that way we can watch what it does on the screen. So now it says it's cold. Now, what it's doing is simply putting the word, not necessarily the number that's associated with it. So this word, cold, actually represents the value 3 listed here in the enumeration. If I want, what I can do is I can take this thing, which is actually an enumeration data type, and I can cast it as an integer. So I'm taking my temperature.cold, cast as an integer, and write that out to the screen. And now I get the number 3. And what you'll notice is that 1, 2, 3, cold is number 3. If I cast it as an integer, then I get the number associated with it. If I don't cast it and I just simply try to write it to the screen, then I will get the actual word itself. So the question is, why would I want to use these? Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do away with my console.writeLine, and instead I'm going to use an if statement. So I'm going to say if, and if I want to do something like temperature is hot, then we're going to do something. And so if the temperature is hot, then I'm going to put a console.writeLine, something like wear shorts. And so now what I can do is, if the temperature is hot, then we wear the shorts. Well, the question here is that, what is temperature hot? Is it hot? Yes. Alright, so what I want to do is I'm going to set another variable. And my variable is simply going to allow me to use this temperature to designate that it is hot outside. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm making a new variable for temperature. And I'm going to call this EM1, and I'm going to set it equal to, which is just simply going to be 1. Alright, so now, oops, not EM1, just 1. Alright, so now what I'm doing is I'm setting EM1 equal to 1. And if you notice, I get here that this is a 32-bit signed integer. And it says that it cannot explicitly cast it. So now what I need to do is I need to cast this as temperature. Now I get my enumeration shows up correctly, because remember, I'm simply telling it what the data type is. Okay, so now if the temperature is 1, we're setting this. So now what I can say is that if EM1 is equal to temperature.hot, then we'll say to wear shorts. Alright, so let's go ahead and try this. Wear shorts, because it's hot. Alright, so now what I've done is I've told it, I created a variable here for EM1. So EM1 here is that, pardon me, the temperature is hot, 1. So I'm setting it that the temperature is 1, but 1 is an integer. I have to cast it as the data type of enumeration. And so we are putting this into this variable location. So what we're doing is we're telling it that not is it just 1, it's whatever the location 1 is. So we're telling it it's hot. So now if the temperature is hot is equal to this value, which is true because I forced it, then we're going to write wear shorts. So the purpose of an enumeration is to allow the system to provide a longer phrase based on some condition. And typically where you'll see this is when you do error handling. So something like if we get an error of 4044 or an error of print spooler error or something like that, then we can actually provide a much more detailed message out to the screen. We have enumerations that we can use that for. Now, this is different from an array because an array we can reference based on a number and get the value that's in the location. In an enumeration, we reference it by name. So I reference that it is hot and it can tell me what position it has, but I can't go the other way around.